everybody, welcome to the weekly Magic News Update for January 21st, 2018 on the Mana Leek. I'm John as always, and there was a bit of news this week as well as one heck of a story time, so let's get started. Up first on Reddit, Gavin Verhey confirmed that Masters sets have entered a new era. Well, originally they were simply Modern Masters and eventually Tournamasters, sets that were built around formats. They will instead be moving towards themed sets, with Iconic Masters having been the first, Masters 25, which we're somehow only 2 months away from, which seems crazy, will be the second. This seems like a reasonable approach as the Masters sets are a great, if expensive, way to get reprints into the world, but having them tied to eternal formats means that we'd pretty quickly run out of steam with them. In 3 sets, Modern Masters had already reached the current era, and future Modern Masters sets would basically just be the same thing printed over and over and over again. By going into the themes, the sets can continue being interesting, having varied limited formats while hopefully still being good products. Will they? We'll have to see. Another quick bit of news, the Core Set 2019 release date was pushed forward. Did you forget we're like 5 or 6 months away from a new Core Set? Me too. Anyways, the release date has been moved up a week to July 13th, 2018. The one strange thing about this is that pushes the pre-release back a weekend, and that now falls on the same weekend as Grand Prix Sao Paulo in Brazil. No word yet on if there will be a rescheduling of that GP, but it would definitely suck if you had to choose between a pre-release or a Grand Prix. Hopefully that does get ironed out soon. The final news this week was pretty big, and it had to do with Magic Arena's economy. The first draft of how purchases will work in Magic Arena was announced. Now, somehow, at some point, the internet forgot that trading wouldn't be a thing in Magic Arena. I thought this was crystal clear from day one. In fact, I know they made it clear from day one that there was not going to be any trading, but yes, there's no trading in Magic Online. Like most online card games, there will be 2 currencies, one you earn by playing, one you earn by, well, quote, by spending money, by buying it, with the coins being the slow, free way to play, and cash being the I want stuff now way of playing. Beyond that, we learned that the boosters will be 8 card packs with 5 commons, 2 uncommons, and 1 rare or mythic. The cost for these have yet to be determined. There will also be 14 card packs that you'll purchase for use with Draft, which at least allays my concern that Draft was going to be, possibly the 8 card packs. It is going to be 14, so that's good, but I do still have pretty big concerns that Arena Draft just won't mirror the real world. If it's like Eternal, where you're sort of in like a 15-person line to draft, we'll see. I really hope that you're drafting in an 8-person group. I know it's going to be league structure, you're not going to play in that group, but I want it to at least mirror the draft portion of a real event. Anyways, we also learned that individual cards will be able to be earned through playing the game. The system currently being tested is receiving 1 card per win, up to 30 cards a day. In boosters, there will be non-magic cards, rarely, called wild cards. There will be common, uncommon, rare, and mythic rare wild cards, and these can be traded in for any card you want at that rarity. The rarity of these wild cards wasn't said, and that will likely be a big testing point to find out just how commonly these will drop from packs to, be a good economy. In addition, instead of there being a dusting system like Hearthstone, there will be a vault that deals with duplicate cards. When you open what would be your 5th copy of a card, it instead powers up your vault meter. Once that meter is filled, you'll get a reward, which currently are wild cards. In the end, this functions pretty similarly to a dust system, without the problem that some people, myself included, have where you don't want to dust things because what if you need them later? It's one of the big reasons I hated Hearthstone is because I didn't want to destroy half of my collection to make 1 card because what if the deck that I wanted to play next week required that half of the collection? I actually like the way this vault system sounds, so I'm pretty happy with it. Anyways, as expected, the internet is outraged, because what else would the internet do? I think the economy sounds fine. Yes, obviously, if you want to start playing tier 1 decks on day 1, you're going to have to drop a ton of money, like basically every other game, and I had no expectations of it being any different, and most importantly, I don't feel like they said anything leading up to today or this week to suggest that we were all somehow going to be playing this game for free with every copy of every card we ever wanted on day 1. That was just so unrealistic. I'm not sure how people actually had that preconceived notion. Anyways, regardless, MTG Arena is still in testing. I predict it to be in testing for at least the first half of this year, if not longer, so any and all of this may change. With the news out of the way, it's time for story time for this week. This week's story, Glimpse the Far Side of the Sun, starts with Huatli at 8 years old. She's in a lesson from the Sun Empire priests about the threefold aspect of the sun, which is the most boring thing 8-year-old Huatli has ever heard. She wants to know what's on the other side of the sun. The priests tell her and the children there are no stories about the other side of the sun. You should name the things you can see, glorify the things you've done, and not waste time on the unknown. Huatli, who has already been identified as the likely future warrior poet, is told that one day she'll speak people's truths. She'll be the voice of the Empire. She's unsure about this future, but tells herself that the Empire is what matters, not what exists beyond the sun. With that, we come back to the present, where Huatli and Angrath are approaching Orazca. The two are arguing, with Angrath telling Huatli that everyone on Ixalan are ants, scrambling to reach the top of an anthill to admire the view, insinuating just how small and meaningless one plane is when the entire multiverse is open to people like them. Suddenly, they both feel a shudder, and Angrath tells her to follow him, but he doesn't go towards Orazca. He instead planeswalks, and she follows. Suddenly, she's on Keldheim, a plane, for those keeping track, that we've only ever seen once as a card in Plane Chase, and we know literally nothing about. It's snowy and mountainous, and Huatli is amazed, but the immortal sun still has power, and she's pulled back to Ixalan. Angrath tells her that freedom starts with knowing that you're trapped. As the pair continue on to Orazca, Angrath tells Huatli it's been 14 years since he's seen his daughters, but his reminiscing is stopped as they reach a tomb that is not a part of Orazca. It was obviously built at another point in time. The design reminds her of the story of the Bat of the East, a legend that the Sun Empire tells about a bat from the East meeting with Aclazotz and putting herself into an enchanted sleep. Huatli approaches the tomb, and a pale white hand emerges. Elenda, the Dusk Rose, has awoken. Angrath identifies her immediately as the one the vampires never shut up about. Huatli realizes that the legend sprang from a truth, and that Elenda is the Bat of the East. She readies her dinosaur for an attack, but Elenda asks why is she taking up arms. Upon hearing that her legion are invading, she shows further confusion. Huatli tells her the legion is there to take what is not theirs. To take what is theirs, Elenda replies, but adding on that the holy mission is to leave everyone else in peace. Elenda then learns that the Legion used her ritual of immortality to become invaders. She left the ritual for the Legion to learn humility, to search for salvation, and that they've clearly forgotten this. Elenda says she needs to teach them what they've forgotten and disappears. The human and Minotaur, meanwhile, continue on to the city. With that, we head back to Jace and Vraska, who are climbing the stairway up the cliff to the Golden City. Jace is still experiencing memories, but they're contained now, so only he is seeing them. One particular memory is of the Hour of Devastation. It's vague, but he sees himself attempting to break into a dragon's mind, and for a brief moment he did. He saw the goal, he saw Bolas's endgame. But as he tries to remember what happened, everything goes dark, and he instead remembers Ugin. As he remembers Ugin and inspects this memory, he finds a mental tripwire. A fail-safe command that should someone try to read his mind and find this encounter with Ugin, Jace's memory would be shrouded and he would planeswalk away to Ixalan. Why would Ugin do that? What did he find in Bolas's mind? He puts those thoughts out of his head for the time being as he and Vraska reach the top. Jace senses something, however, and casts an illusion quite quickly over them as a massive pterodon, Zatalpa, Primal Dawn, launches itself into the air and flies away. Jace and Vraska approach a door that the compass is pointing to and discover an intricate pattern on it, which Vraska identifies as a maze. Jace approaches the pattern and is shocked. He identifies it as the Azorius symbol from Ravnica. Jace reaches out to find out what is on the other side of the door and discovers a mind like only one that he had encountered before. Vraska and Jace ready themselves, open the door, and see the Sphinx. He introduces himself to them as Azor the Lawbringer and threatens Vraska that she'll be a prisoner for the third time in her life, instantly reading her mind. Jace throws up a psychic ward between him and Vraska, immediately seeing Azor as being much like Elhamaret. He tells Azor he'll refer to her as Captain. Azor asks, what does that make Jace? Jace Beleren, the living guild pact, Jace replies. Azor flinches. The failsafe? He asks. The pirate, Jace replies. And with that, we're done story time. We're done news for the week. Let me know what you thought of story time. Let me know what you thought of the news this week. Are you in Brazil? Do you have to suddenly make a choice between pre-release or Grand Prix? What do you think of the MTG Arena economy? Let me know all this stuff down in the comments below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at @TheManaLeek. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at Facebook.com/TheManaLeek, Twitch.tv/TheManaLeek, and Patreon.com/TheManaLeek. If you like the content, click that thumbs up button. Click subscribe if you want to see more. And if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.